I believe now that the issue is sorted out now. So let me just link to YouTube and then can share my screen. Okay. So can you guys see my screen?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Thanks. So Miss Mai was here this morning. If you can remember correctly, we did not we were not able to see the log this way in the morning. So you can remember we were having this invoke issue, but now you can see that the Flask app is being served, and we are seeing the image successful. So all of these were things we did not see in the morning. In the morning, that was because there was an issue with Azure. So we can see now that the app is working as expected. And if we come here, but one thing I realized was that the health check, you can see now that the health check is not telling us it cannot pull it, or it's not telling us that it's failed. So even though the health check is not configured, when there's an issue, the health check of the app service will let you know that your container is not working as expected. So now if I click on the browse, I can access the web app, you can see, and I can generate different codes. So because this is quite impromptu and won't be making any much, I won't be saying too much story. Let me just, but as usual, if you have any question on the way, you can just unmute yourself and let me know, so I'll be able to attend to the question. So the methodology we'll be using for adding a new one is we'll be working with a new. Normally, I can just come here and add a new job. Let me just call that job deploy job or something. But just to showcase another functionality of Git Actions, we'll be using a new workflow file. So let me create a new workflow file. I'm going to call that cd.yaml. So most times you hear them, so they are like twins. So it's either CI or CD. So the name of this one is going to be that this the cd file. Okay, and then so this is going to be working when, so we need to specify the on. So if we check here, you can see that on the workflow discharge. But when we want to, because the way we want this to work is that it is a different workflow, but this workflow is dependent on the completion of another workflow. Remember, if you are working with just one YAML file, or if you are working with just one action, every job runs sequentially. So it is when one job gets it's when one job ends, that's when another job starts. Or okay, no, sometimes even one concurrently, then you can use the needs option to say that okay, this job only happens when the other job has ended. So for this one, the events that will start this workflow, instead of workflow dispatch, you can see here we have something called workflow dispatch, but in this aspect is something we're going to be calling workflow run. Sorry. So what workflow run does, if you go to the documentation of GitHub Actions, is that it specifies that okay, for this workflow to run, that means another workflow must have run already. So we need to specify the workflow that must have been run before this workflow can come up. So the only other workflow we have on in our the only other workflow we have is the CI workflow, and that's the workflow we are going to be working with. So we are going to specify. Okay, so we're going to specify that what are the workflows that must have run before we have this. So the name of we only have one workflow, and that is it here. So we just pick the name, the CI file. Let's copy this and let's paste this here. And then what must have happened? So we need to specify the type of what action that happened in that workflow before we can say this. So what must have happened was that the workflow must have been completed. So if the workflow's run is not completed, then you don't have to what? You don't have to run. So after this, we now have to specify the jobs as usual. Okay. So okay, it's complaining about type. Let me see. Okay, it's not type, it should be types. Exactly. So it's complaining about the job as usual. So the job we'll be working with this time around is that the jobs we're going to be working on this time around is that it's going to just be a deploy job. So, and as usual, we need to specify where this is going to run on. So this is going to run on Ubuntu latest. So if this is running on Ubuntu latest, then we specify the steps. So what are the steps for this stuff? So the first thing we have to do, just like when we were working on Docker, we had to set up Docker. For example, in the CI, in the CI, we have to what? Set up Docker in our container that is going to be running the action. So that's basically what this is too. We have to set up the Azure what CLI. So if you don't have the Azure CLI in your container, you will not be able to access Azure. So to access Azure, so I'm going to do setup. So the name of this is setup Azure. Okay. So if the name of this is setup Azure, so it's going to be using a particular action. So let me see if I can show you guys the action. Okay, I'll show you guys that later. Let me just pick it off from where I kept it when I was practicing with this. So this is the action that we're going to be using. So you can see that this action was created by Azure. So as I state most times when we are working, that when you want to use an action, try to ensure that it is created by the original body that you want to use it. Try to ensure that you don't use as much third-party actions as possible. So the guys that created the actions is that they are going to be creating it with what? The app name. So what is our app name? So we need to specify the app name. We need to specify the publish profile. So all of this must be looking at how do I know that we need to do this. So I'll show all of you, and then this is images. Okay, so let me leave this way, and then let me, okay, instead of just sharing different windows, let me change the way I'm sharing my screen. Let me share my full window. Sorry, the entire screen rather. So you can see now. So this is the CG file. So to show you guys, so let me go here and let me try to see if I can get where I worked on this previously. So yesterday when I was working on how to, so this was my stuff for yesterday exactly. So this was, you can see that all of this that I'm doing now, I've done them as at yesterday. So I'm just trying to get my something. Was it was should be somewhere around this morning. Okay, so let me see if it is around here. So it is one of those their blogs. So I searched a lot on how do I automatically deploy to Azure on, okay, let me check another of my desktop if I still have it there. It's not here. Okay, so basically let me just try to see. Let me do control H. um let me see deploy. So let me try to see if I can get something. Okay, I don't think I use this. I just want to try and show us. Okay, let me just call this Azure App Service Action. It's not here, so let me just try to see, because I don't want us to take more time than expected. So I just want you guys to see that I'm not just out action git. So for you guys to see that exactly, so you can see Azure App Service. So I think it was around there. Exactly. So it was from here that I think this was the first thing I saw. So I'm just trying to show you guys that there are a lot of things that there's nothing you want to do that is not online. So once you read up about it, you see that these things, even the guys that created this stuff, they have actually like worked, they have worked on this before, and based on that, they will be able to give you templates for you to work on whatever it is that you want to work on. So I think exactly Azure Web App Deploy. So this is the something we're using. This is the actions I think that we're using. Web Apps Deploy. So you can see that this is the action we are using. So if this loads, you see that this is the way for you to call this action. Taking some time because the network is a bit poor, but exactly you can see. So this is the GitHub to deploy to Azure Web App. So you create the web app. So you can see this is an example. So you deploy. To deploy, what do you use? You use Azure Web App slash deploy, the app name, then the profile. So this thing that is called the publish profile, this is how you get the publish profile. After that's why I was saying this morning that you need to have implemented an app, because if you don't have an app, you cannot get your deploy. So you go to deployment center. When you, after going to deployment center, there's also the way you have the option to use the Azure command line. You can use the Azure command line to get all of this, but that will take a while. So we'll just do everything GUI. So you can see this option here that they call manage publish profile. So if you call this on manage publish profile, you can download it. So once you download this publish profile, you add this publish profile to your GitHub environment. So this is it. You can see this is it. So I'll open this. So open it. I'll open it with Notepad. It's not asking me. So exactly. So I'll open it with my Notepad. So this is my Notepad that I'll be opening this with. So you just copy all of this. So you copy all of this. Now let's go back to the GitHub. Where's the GitHub page? I think this is the GitHub page exactly. So in our settings, just like the way we added the action for the Docker for the Docker token for us to deploy automatically, sorry, to push to Docker Hub automatically. So we have to add this token also into this page. So when we add this token, then we'll be able to specify the publish profile. So while that is loading up, so the app name, just check, the app name is deployment final. So this app name must correspond to, it must be the app name for the published profile that you are using. So if you are using a different published profile that is different from the one that is different from where you downloaded the published profile, then you have an issue. So this has come on. So secret and variables actions. Okay, that is still loading up. So it's simple. So all of these are different. So I'm trying to, there was one that was actually done by GitHub itself. This action. So let me see if I can get that one from GitHub. So there was one that GitHub themselves they worked on. So I think it is around there. So deploying Node.js, I think it's around there. So let me see. So this was it. Azure App Service, blah blah blah, creating the workflow. So these were the workflows that they did exactly for the original exactly. So this was what I saw. This was exactly what I followed yesterday. So this was their YAML file. This was their YAML file that they worked on, and that, so this was where I saw all of the example and everything that we are using now when I worked on it yesterday. So you can see that for the published profile, they expect, it's not necessary you use this name, but it's always good for you to use the recognized standard name. So let me come here. So this has come. So I need to add a new repository secret, and then this secret is going to be called, so why is this taking time? Don't know why the network is acting up. So once we add the repository secrets, then we'll be able to specify the image that we're going to be using. So there are better ways to do this, because this is actually manual. But in the time frame that we have, I would have probably, if it had worked in the morning, probably I would have tried to like do it the correct way. So there's a way to send this Docker image, this name of the Docker image that we're using. There's a way to make this an output for this workflow file. So if you make this an output for this workflow file, then this output, you can use that in this CD. So you don't have to hard code anything. So you can always have a seamless endless process. But for now, I'll just hard code it in. So the name of the image. But one thing we should understand here is that, okay, so this has come up now. So you can see Azure Web App publish profile. So let me get the profile again. Control C, and then let me paste this here. So let me add this secret. So once this secret is added, then we can access it anywhere with our env. So the last thing we have to do is that now, when you want to specify an image name here, you don't just do Adeniran slash, what was the image that we're using here? I think this is the image we are using. Quote image. So this is the quote image that we're using. So quote image and then latest. So normally there should be ways where you ensure that the tag and the image name are things that they are not hard coded, they are dynamic. So if they are dynamic, then you won't always have to edit your workflow file or you can just reuse them just for this purpose. So but if you do this way, you have an issue, because based on the way this web app works, for example, if you go back to one of this documentation, for example, you can see that in every step that they have been using, they've been using the GCR container. For example, let me see, for places where they containerized it, most times they try to build it themselves. But for instances where they containerized, for example, exactly, see this instance now, where they containerized it, they are using something called Azure Container Registry. So the Azure Container Registry is where they are using. So in some instances you use GitHub Container Registry also. So that's what they have native support for. Their native support is either for you using the Azure Container Registry or for you using the GitHub Container Registry. So if you want to use Docker, you need to specify that you are getting this from the what? From the Docker's index. So this now, index.io. So this is you telling them that okay, you need to go to, this is where this index is coming from. So because I don't want us to have an error, so when I was working on it yesterday, I ran into that error because at first I just used quote image and the name of the image latest. But I had to come here. So the way I was able to understand that it had to be something different was when I came, I think it was around there in the overview. So there's a place where they specify the type of image that you are using. So let me see if I can get something like that. So that's what I want to pick up actually, because there's a place where they specify that okay, this is the Docker image name, this is the index for the Docker image name, and all of those kind of stuff. So let me just try to look for that, because I'm not sure I wrote the URL the correct way. So let me just, okay, I think it should be in the configuration. So should it be, I think it's general settings. So let me see if it's around there. I'm just trying to get the particular place where I saw. Okay, instead of wasting time doing that, let me just look for the file exactly. So this was the file that I created yesterday. So let me just open it up with Notepad++. So you can see exactly index.docker.io. So this is how we specify that this is the that you are meant to use Docker. They are meant to use Docker for this rather than just looking for another word repository. So with this, so the publish profile, so I need to access the publish profile using env dot azure publish profile. Okay, there need to be a dollar sign here exactly. So let me confirm secret dot azure web app publish profile. Let me just pick this up. So it is here. Control V. So let's save this. So with this now, the CI file is completed. So this only works when the CI file is completed and it uses this action to deploy to what? To this image. So what we are going to be doing is, the reason why we are using latest here is because we know that in the CI here, the image is always going to be what? Quoted as what? Quote image latest. So let's do that. So for us to see the difference in what we are doing, so this is the app that is deployed. You can see that the background is what? The background is white. Then we are generating code as a white background. So just to showcase the action of automatic deployment, so let's come to this body, and in this body, let me specify the style, and I'm going to say that for the background color, let the background color be aqua. So let me save this. So now that I saved this, so we'll come here, and as usual, you do our git add, then git commit am. So let's call this cd file added. Then now let's push this, git push. So if everything is working as expected, once we push this, when we come here, we'll see that in our action will start running. Okay, so the cd file has been added. So you can see that the only thing that is showing up at first is you can see now we have you have two files here. So the only action that will be running at first is the ci action. So let me just wait until this comes up. So this now, so the network is taking a while. Let's wait for this to come up. But in the background, the image is already being built. So the automatic image where now we have specified, so you can see for now the CI file is the only one that is running. CD file added, only this action is running. So this containerized job action is done. So since this one is done, if you know that the network is a bit poor, we should be able to, we should see that the other action has started. You see that the other action has started, and with that we should be able to, okay, so that's the containerized job. So if we click on the action, we should see that, so you can see that this is the one that just ran, it just ran now. This is the CD file, and the CD file, it's immediately this CI file ended. You can see that this one now is not attributed to any repository. Why? Because this is attributed to this file being one. So once this was run, so this is the deploy job that we specified, and for the deploy job that we specified, we can see that after setting up Azure, then we just what you want this is with Azure, the package, the index name, and this image has been deployed successfully. You can see that this image has been deployed successfully to this deployment. So let's go back to this repository and let's just check the logs. So if we check the logs, the activity log for this, or even in the deployment center, even in the deployment center, so in the deployment center, if we look at the logs, I want to show you that you can see that we should have something, the image time taken. This is, you can see a newer image was just done. This was 32 seconds ago. So this already exists now. Is that because we just the last time this was where we stopped, that the container was successfully initialized, but because what we just made a push to this image, you can see that it started recycling this container because there's a change in the version, and there's a change. So you can see this is the index.io. So this is the index.io, and this is the image. So because we made a push to that particular image with that same tag, this web app is automatically notified that there's a change in the what, in the specifics of that image, and therefore it has to reload this container. So the new container was reloaded, it downloaded the new image, and it started the new container with the new image, and the new image was started successfully. So now if we go to the overview and we click on browse, you will see that the background would have changed to the new color. Can you see? So now, even this one, this was when we have not yet deployed, it was white. If you refresh this page, you see that you now have a new color, generates code. So this is, with this, we have successfully implemented a CI/CD, where immediately you make any change to your app, it immediately gets integrated to the code base, and it gets what, deployed automatically. So this is just a basic demonstration. There are ways that you can expand this to start doing more things and start. So any change we make, even if we make just another tiny change, let me see, let me just come in now. What can I do to enter? Okay, let's say a simple, that's the title. So let's say if word. So let me do this now. Let me just add another word here. Let me say a random quote will always be generated. Will always be generated. So let me save this as usual. Let me just do git add git commit, and this is added a new line, and then let me put this. So once we do this, so let us just follow the process again in our in the action. So we should see that the CI action is the one that will be running at first. So we added a new line. So the image is being built. So let us come to this deployment center and see if we can see the point at which this will actually be what, at which the container is going to be recycled and refreshed. So that was basically the last thing we are doing. So once we're able to confirm this, so let me click on logs. Once we're able to recycle this, so you can see this is still the last one. So you can see that at this moment now, the last thing we have as at 38 39, 15 38 39. That's at least, I think they use GMT, they use UTC over there. So that's it. Warm up request and blah blah. So let us continue following our action. So this action is still running. So this one has run successfully. So this is the new one that is running. So this action also has run successfully. So if we come back to this now and let's refresh this, so you can see that we have a new one. So this is 15 38 39. So let's try to refresh this page and see we have a new log. So let me just go to settings, come here. So I've not seen anything yet. Let me leave here. So the deployment center. So this is the logs. Exactly. So let us see if it has shown now. No, it hasn't. But let us refresh this page. So the deployment is not yet showing here. But that's basically everything that we want to do. So this is the deploy. So if we check the deploy, you see that this was automatically deployed. So with this, you can ensure that any changes you are making. So let's say, for example, you are working on your model for your Premiere project or something. So this is a way to ensure that you just have to write up. You just need to set up the pipeline just once. Once you set up the pipeline once, you won't have to keep editing your code every time you add a new anytime you add a new let's say you add a new you retrain your model or something just happens, you won't have to keep repeating the process of deploying your model. You just have to do it once, and then with that you are good to go. So let me just try to see if this will happen again. So because I think the network is a bit poor, that's why it's taking this long. If not, we should be done now. But let me refresh. Simple playground app. So this has not shown yet, but basically that's everything about the process of continuous integration and deployment. So any change you made is what is showcased in real time. So these are the logs from the Docker engine. See, this has not taken effect here, but immediately you make a new change, you will see that it will effect a new change here, and immediately that change will showcase here. So I think because of the issue in the core of how slow the network is, but then let me see, click on this here. It is not showing yet. Let me just confirm here. Simple playground app. Mhm. So this has not shown yet. Don't know why though, but I'm sure that in the next, let's say, if I'll still leave the deployment on, let's say for another 10 20 minutes, even after I end this live coding session, and you can just come back here to click on, because I sent the app, I sent the link. This is the link here. I sent it to the Slack page. So you can just come back here and you see that the new line that we added will be showcased here in real time. So with that, that's the end of the session. I hope you were able to get one thing or two. And this is the last live coding session for the internship, as I've stated previously. So it's not easy if you get into this stage. And I also stated on the group that if you have another email that you have not used to sign up for Azure, probably this will be the best time for you to sign up with that email, because when you sign up with a new email, they give you 30 days of 200 USD credits where you don't have to add the debit card. So you can use that 200 USD to what? You can use that to complete what the steps required in the live coding session. So when you use that at least for that free duration of 30 days, at this stage ends in like a week. So if you create that now, you have like this next week and a few more days to also try and practice a little more things, and you have 200 USD, so you can just explore and try to work with different services that they have on what, on Azure. So as usual, if you have any question, just reach out to me on the Slack channel or via mail at help@amoye.io. So is there any question? If there are no questions, then we can end the session for today. All right, you're welcome. So I'll take as that there's no question. You guys have a nice day and bye bye for now.